Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone is having a good start to their week. So we're gonna get started today. Got probably a quicker meeting today, but we'll go over some of the general stuff that we're releasing, and then, of course, the question and answer section at the end of the meeting. We've also been doing our daily support calls or daily office hours, which are at 11:30 a.m. every single day. Those have been really great to help people answer quick questions and kind of get up and running a lot faster. So we'll be also doing that one today as well. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And for everyone who's just joining, we're just getting started here. I'm going to go over some of the latest updates and what's ahead for the next coming weeks, and then go over any questions and answers that you guys might have at the end of the call. Of course, I always like to shout out our roadmap, public roadmap, and changelog. This is where you can get all of our latest updates and everything that gets pushed. We will be doing another changelog update and email notification later today with the updates that we pushed out this morning. We're working on that right now, but I'll be able to tell you guys everything. And of course, our documentation, which is docs.stammer.ai. This is always updated with all of the latest features and tutorials and everything like that. All right. So last week we got out a couple more fixes and improvements to the platform. So if you guys ever have any issues, please feel free to reach out to us via support ticket or Discord, or even people have been DMing me on Instagram as well. And this is all on top of our new daily office hours, which are every day at 11:30. So if you guys ever want to see that, you can also go to Stammer AI/support. This shows you kind of all of the different support options that we have, documentation, how to submit support tickets, links for our Discord and YouTube, as well as the ability to schedule meetings with our team and Drew, who does all of our onboarding calls. So if you guys ever need any help like that, this is a really good resource as well. Cool. All right. So that being said, so like I said, yeah, we did do a few different minor improvements last week and a couple of different new additions as well. This week and this morning, we did more improvements. And like I said, we'll have those release notes out in a little bit later today. The main couple of things that we added or improved upon for this most recent update, I'll mention these pretty quickly. There's now a separate, let's see, there's now a separate permission for embedding of the AI agent versus the meta integrations. So this was a piece of feedback from an agency, I believe, last week. The embed AI agent is on by default, so no worry or no need to go and change anything. But meta integrations now is a separate permission, which now allows you to kind of control whether or not you want your clients to be able to see that or just embed it via an AI agent. It also gives you more functionality around creating your different subscription packages. So that is now live as well. And it used to, the embed code used to be in this tab right here, but we made a quick little hyperlink so that way it clicks right over to the integrations tab. Hopefully that makes it super easy for everyone to use. That's the first update. Second update is actually another piece of feedback from an agency, and this one was one that we had, I want to say a while. It was a while back that someone first mentioned it, but it kind of took a while for everyone and like agencies and ourselves to figure out how to implement this. So it's actually an addition to our white label API. The white label API, for those that are maybe not familiar, this is an API that you get access to when you start your white labeling journey. So by default, if we are looking at everything in the Stammer domain, it's all the information and URLs will be Stammer, but when you white label it, it will change to be your domain and your URL. And so the cool thing about this is you can use this white label API to do a lot of different things. And the main reason why people use this is to connect it to existing systems or existing CRMs. So a good example or use case that dozens of agencies use is if they're using Go High Level or GHL, you can connect a Stammer agent, HL, so that way all of the conversations are happening inside of the CRM, even though the AI agent is the one that is generating the responses. So this is really useful if your clients already have their Instagram or like whatever channel or SMS, whatever it may be, if they already have that enabled inside of an existing CRM. And this also works with things like make.com or Zapier as well. You can essentially create these nodes where it will compile information and then send it to the AI agent that you create in Stammer. And then Stammer, the AI agent, generates a response and then sends it back to the user wherever they're chatting. So in this example or use case, the customer would be, responding to an SMS, and this is what the webhook for the white label API would look like. You fill out this with your information, and then the body or the messages is dynamic. And the reason why I'm telling you guys about all of this is because we just added a new option into this white label API called custom base system prompt. And so this is a pretty powerful feature, and I'm really excited to see how people utilize this. Essentially, what this does is it allows you to create dynamic base system prompts with one single AI agent. So, for example, we could create an AI agent that has all of the documentation about a business and has, all the normal information in the knowledge base, as well as being able to have, give it a prompt that, if a user asks a question, respond with, the most relevant information. But with this option, we can now do things like outbound messaging with context of who we're talking to. So in this example right here, what we can do is we can actually add this value into the body as a custom base system prompt, and we can put a custom prompt in here that has dynamic data, just like we have dynamic data in some of these other values. And just to clarify, dynamic data is this code essentially that gets replaced with whatever the value actually is. So if the user says, hey, what's my name? That message, hey, what's my name, would be filled in right here. Same thing with contact ID, same thing with contact name or any other value that you have access to or that you have data upon or that you have data on. So in this example, it's a very simple example, but essentially what we're telling the AI agent is, hey, you are talking with a certain customer named their name, and then the rest of the prompt is normal. And so with this power, it now has the ability to pull in information that the user has submitted in other areas. So the use case that we've been talking internally about is, let's say a client has a website and they have a form on their website and they answer maybe a couple questions. Let's say, it's like a home inspection, or like I just had an AC repair HVAC guy come in. So if it was their business, I need help, fixing my AC unit. I'm available at this time and I'm in, this part of the city, let's say. The AI agent could then pull in all of those answers or all of that information and then inject that into the base system prompt on top of all of the other information that it has access to. That then allows the system to send out a message. And if the user was to respond, the system knows everything about that specific user. And there's not a need to have to create a new AI agent that has all of that customer data in it. So you can have one AI agent and it could talk with hundreds of different customers, all with the correct dynamic data about that customer specifically. So it creates this kind of new system, or it creates like this new scenario where the AI agent has information that the user might not have given to the AI agent in that initial conversation. So this is going to be super powerful for outbound stuff. This is going to be really cool for responding with information that was given in the past. There's so many different use cases, and this was just released late last week. So we're still working on getting some of the tutorials, and we'll update the documentation shortly later this week with some of these examples. But really, like I said, really excited to see how people utilize this feature because this is one of those kind of sneaky things that maybe on face value doesn't look like it's too, cool or whatever, but yeah, this is something pretty cool. Rami says that will be fun to play around with. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've been playing around with it myself and just trying to, get it to work within these simple examples. But yeah, really excited to see how you guys utilize that feature. Cool. So that's a brief overview on that additional API. And then finally, we have some just like general UI updates because we've been working intently on our analytics platform. So we updated the card style of the AI agents. And if you're having any issues right now with seeing any of your AI agents, just give it a second to load and then you can continue scrolling. We'll have a fix out for this later today. But this is in line with all of our analytics updates that we are also going to be pushing towards the sub accounts and the agency view as well. We'll have updates for that out in the next coming weeks. That being said, we're also working on our alternative models for Claude and Grok. It was quite a large update with core functionality. So we're just making sure that everything works perfectly fine. Rami said, yeah, Riz GPT. Yeah, so we've been working with Master Chat, which is another feature that we added a couple weeks ago. This is a system that now allows users to chat with with a Chat GPT style like interface. And so we've been working on creating lots of different templates for more user-based examples or scenarios. And these will be all available in the marketplace in a little bit. Joshua says, is the current GPT 4.0 model the latest version? Not the most recent version. It's the one right before the most recent version. So we'll get that updated. It's the same price and everything, so it won't be any cost difference, but we will get that added in a little bit. From our testing, it works basically about the same. Thanks. The latest version has been a huge upgrade for me and my work. That's good to know. We will definitely get that added. And he asks, is there any update on the live search functionality for AI agents and Master Chat? Do you have an estimated timeline for when this feature might be launched? Live search functionality for AI agents and Master Chat. Are you talking about like a web search, Google search type thing? Got it. We don't have a timeline on that yet, but we can create an example for a custom function that would allow that to happen. That's the other thing I actually forgot to mention. So we actually updated the custom functions tab, which now allows you to have authentication. And we will have a tutorial out for this with things like Shopify and I believe the stock market example was another one. But the adding this with a Google search API will be very easy to do as well. So we can create an example for that and then get that added to your documentation and send that over to you as well. Cool. Yeah. And just going off of those questions, if anybody has any other questions, ideas, or concerns, please let us know. We're happy to answer those right now. Drew, Tim, anything that you guys want to add?
Nothing on my end right now.
All good on my end as well.
Josh says, I added this to the suggested changes, but it would be nice if you could get a handoff alert as a text instead of an email. That is a good suggestion. Right now, the way that we do that is we use the webhook to pipe that into our CRM that has existing phone numbers and further automations, depending on what type of notification or information that is. We do have 2FA though, so we could, in theory, implement that, I believe, right, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. Will it be possible to change colors for the agent cards? It is a bit more difficult to differentiate them from each other. Yes, we also have this, we're going to essentially have the ability to add tags, and that will customize the appearance of these a little bit. Like it might have like a bit of a border. But if you have further ideas of what you'd like them to look like, we could take that feedback and update them. And he says, I've noticed that on mobile, the initial pop-up message is only partly visible. It seems to be cut off the message. Is mobile optimization for the chat pub being currently worked on? We'll look into that. I don't believe we had any code changes there, so we'll look into that and see if there's any issues there. Tim, can you put that and mention that to Harris or somebody?
Hmm.
Okay. As a front-end developer, I like changing the CSS. Is there any plan to allow for full control of this? Yes. So yes, we've been going back and forth on that for quite a while. I think eventually we will just give full access to the CSS. Tim, do you remember any more on that one?
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to originally do, was just give them full access to the CSS or the chat widget so that they can just use AI to generate any kind of CSS changes they need to do.
Yeah.
Now, doing that, it would require some serious changes to the chat widget. But that being said, I do think it's worth it because then you can change, in theory, anything that you can control via CSS. So yes, I do think we should do that. Just yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
Cool. Quick question about the new custom functions. Will they allow injecting dynamic URL parameters into the agent context without having to store anything in the knowledge base? Not as it is right now, I believe. Well, I'll get back to you on that one because we just pushed the most recent update with the authentication and headers. All existing custom functions are unchanged, but we were talking about it this morning with something semi-related to this, so that will be in the works. Perfect. Thank you, Andy, for creating that support ticket. Drew's on that. Esteban says, I talked with Timothy on Discord about a project in which I need a full list of products instead of just examples. I understand I need to do a custom function. I was thinking of a Google Sheet. How does the chat extract data?
Yeah, so high level, a semantic search, like I was kind of saying in the Discord, is not intended for pulling perfect product data, right? It's in essence a query to a database. So to do this, you have to build a custom function. And we do have examples of this. But the most important thing for you, starting with this, is to find out how are you going to get this data from your customer, because that's the hard part, right? And if it is a Google Sheet, then yes, in theory, you could create a custom function that queries Google Sheets and pulls that data so the agent has access to it. But if you're not technical, I would definitely suggest getting someone technical on board for this project to kind of assist you with that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was asking because I saw the video of the Google Sheets integration and it said like Jim, how these are project names. If somebody like doesn't put like the complete project, will it still be able to find it on the Google Sheets?
Potentially.
No,
Go ahead, Tim.
yeah, no, just too many unknowns right now. Yeah, but basically, it really, like, how is your customer going to expose this information to you? Do you know it? Is it Google Sheets? They'll just give you a Google Sheet and keep that updated.
For example, a project it's called Manhattan Buildings, Peter Manhattan Buildings, and a client just asks for Peter. Will it be able to find Peter Manhattan businesses on buildings on the Google Sheet?
If you build a function that allows it to search based on name, yes.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I was seeing that function.
Yeah, exactly. So you can, I don't know if you're
Okay.
familiar, I don't know if you're familiar with SQL, but basically you would give it access to kind of make queries to the database.
Yeah, and comparing this to some of the other custom functions examples that we've built in the past, having ChatGPT help create the code for that custom function to do exactly what you're asking it to do is like the best place to start, because then you can start seeing how that system will interact with the data that is provided to your client. Like Tim said, there's a lot of unknown variables to give kind of like solidified advice on this, because there is a lot of kind of, there's variables that we can't. Oh, I'm having trouble talking today.
I'm getting full the idea that there is a lot of things that can happen differently, and we need to test it out in order for to narrow it down for it to work better.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what we consider like advanced functionality when you're trying to do your own version of a semantic search on top of custom data that's not inside of the knowledge base. Custom functions has always been the way to increase functionality of your AI agents for any specific use case, but it is a more technical thing. That being said, we do have people on our team that can help build this out for you, as well as all of our examples and things like that. It says I'd use
And if I want to reach with someone of your team, should I do a ticket or a one-in-one?
if you yes, please start by submitting a ticket. That way we have your account information, and then we can get an email thread or a meeting together where we can figure out exactly what you'd like to accomplish, and then have our team build it out for you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Remy says I'd use Sonnet 3.7 for generating code. It's a bit sharper. Definitely agree. Claude is great. For the scheduling in beta, I'm experiencing an issue when the user types in a non-English language, where in the in-chat scheduling flow gets stuck after the user responds with a local city. The agent then identifies the correct time zone, but then gets stuck where it does not come with any available time slots. Any idea on why this occurs in Norwegian and not the English language? That's a good question. Most of the time in our testing, the core models are able to do any language. That being said, we've always recommended and encouraged all of the AI agents with the prompts and everything to be written in English, because that's what OpenAI advises us. So if the prompt is not in English, I would start there first to see if that could be causing any issues. If you're still having problems on top of that, I would probably recommend going more of the traditional route, where if someone wants to book a meeting, that provides them with, oh, yeah, meeting system is in English. Okay, that's weird. This is when a visitor is typing in Norwegian. We'll have to look into that. Tim, do you have any ideas on that one?
No, I don't. And unfortunately, there are some unknowns that happens in general with using AI, but it could be something to do with it not translating the Norwegian properly into English that the function understand, or it's something. Yeah, the scheduling is a more advanced use case, and unfortunately, we all kind of speak English for the most part. So we have only extensively tested it through English. It also could be the model you're using. There's really a lot of unknowns here. What I would kind of recommend is getting a prompt engineer involved. It's a pretty goofy language. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I've heard it before.
So for a short-term solution, yeah, and like Tim said, scheduling is in conversation scheduling is an advanced feature. There's like multiple custom functions that are going on in the background. Agent correctly identifies time zone and responds in Norwegian. At this point, nothing happens if the user types something like okay, the typing indicator shows, but then it hangs. That's a tough one because we're not going to be able to test it in Norwegian.
Yeah, it's a real problem, actually. I'm having a nightmare situation trying to debug a very strange edge case now in French, and just having to work kind of directly with the customer and kind of give him the tools to debug it, basically. But open a ticket. We'll try to see what we can do here, but we may need help from you kind of debugging it as well.
Yeah, yeah. Strange that
Oh,
it
yes. Yeah, I saw this ticket weirdly this morning. Yeah, it looks like it's not actually running the function. It looks like some type of hallucination. Like it thinks it's running the function, but it's not properly doing what's called function calling. So it's kind of difficult for us to debug. But if it's working in English, yeah, that is so strange.
You said there's a ticket, Tim?
Yeah, there is a ticket, and we do
Yeah.
have prompt engineers available for hire. We do try to do as much support as we can, but I'm sure you guys can kind of see with some of these more complex debugging issues, we can't spend 10 hours debugging something. So if you can pay for some prompt engineering, that is always an option, and we can have someone really go in and kind of figure out what is going wrong. But if that's not an option, just respond to that ticket, and we'll try to see what we can do. Maybe it's something easy.
It's I'm glad it's working perfect in English. Yeah, the for now I would recommend probably switching to sending them a link if they're interested in booking a meeting. That way there's a solve for the client in the short term while we continue to investigate this further.
Yeah, and Ross, we may need to wrap things up and kind of join the daily
Oh.
support call.
Yes. All right. Yeah. If anybody wants to join the daily support call, I'll put the link in the chat right here.
All right, I'm going to jump off and start that call, and I will see you all in that. Thank you so much for joining today.
Perfect. This does not happen when the user replies to time zone with a specific time zone or the capital. Okay. Well, Andy, I think we just need to get some more information and kind of see how you're doing it. Like I said, we're not going to be able to test it in Norwegian, so we're going to need you to probably provide more tests or examples. But like I said, the short-term use case is if someone wants to book a meeting, send them a scheduling link. Cool. All right. Yeah, we do have to jump over to the support call, but thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.